Hello and welcome to today's Foundation Pilates class with me, Sue from Fit Panda Studio. So for today's class, we're going to be using our therabands. You're going to need a fairly long theraband so you can get that ready. I'd recommend about a medium resistance to your band. And then if there's any kind of support that you're going to need when you are sitting or lying down on your mats, you're welcome to go ahead and get those ready. We are going to be doing some seated exercises. So if you need something to sit on, like a cushion or a yoga block, which is what I have in the video, you can just have those handy as well. But to start with, we're going to be standing. So get all your supports ready, your band ready, and then we come to stand on our mats. So I'm standing tall with the feet hip width and parallel to one another, so just enough space for one of your own fists to fit in between your own feet, and then lengthening up tall. We're actually going to stay standing to begin with, and all we're going to do is lean forward into your toes as much as you can till it feels like your heels start to become light against the mat, and then lean backwards into your heels until it feels like your toes become light on the mat. So you're going to be swaying forward and backwards. We're going to do it 2 more times each way. Challenge yourself to reach that point that it almost becomes a little bit scary, and then you come back and you go the other way. Worst case scenario, you lose your balance and take a little step forward or back. Let's go 1 more time each way. Swaying forward, swaying back, waking the body up, and then you can come back to center, spreading the weight out equally from the toes to the heels, softly bending into your knees as we start to curl the head forward. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, start to round the upper spine forward and down, and then allow the rest of your spine to roll down as low as you feel comfortable to go, keeping a little soft bend in the knees with your neck nicely relaxed, so you'll be looking at your own legs. Take a breath once you've reached your lowest point, and then draw your tummy muscles in and start to roll back up. So from the base of the spine, everything starts to roll up until eventually the head lifts again and we're standing tall with the arms lengthened by your sides. And we're going to do the little balancing game again where you lean forward and back. And just listen to your body while you do this. See if you can feel which muscles are engaging to stop you from falling. So definitely a little bit of leg muscles, maybe some abdominals, and of course the toes digging into the mat to stop you from falling forwards. You can go 1 more time in each direction, swaying forward and swaying back. And then we'll center ourselves again. So centering the weight, softly bending into the knees, curling the head forward as you inhale. Exhale, the rest of the spine starts to round forward and down. Melt yourself as far down towards the mat as you can comfortably go. Then we're going to stay down. You can keep your knees slightly bent, but slide your hands up onto the top of your thighs so that your fingers are facing in towards each other. Your elbows are facing out to the sides of the room. And we're going to push slightly into the arms to try and straighten out the back. So you'll have to lift your head and your chest in order to try get your back to flatten. And I'm very much using the arms here. So push through the arms and lengthen through the spine. Keep the knees bent. And we'll stay here for a little standing cat-cow stretch. So you'll take a breath. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone in and round your spine. Your eye line will drop again to look in towards your own legs as your spine rounds. And then try to lengthen it back out again. So inhale, lengthen the spine, draw shoulders away from the ears. The eyes are going to lift maybe to look just towards the top edge of your mat as you push through the arms. And then round the spine again into your cat stretch. Tuck the tailbone in, stretch through your lower back. Lengthen back out 1 more time, and then keeping your back sort of lengthened as much as you can, let your hands just slide off your thighs, and then you can hinge forward over your legs again as low as you can go. Think of your head being very heavy as you take a breath, and then you start to roll up, but you're leaving that feeling of your head being heavy, so it feels like you really have to work to draw your spine back up again until we're standing tall and the head lifts. And then we'll stay standing. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead for a little stretch like you want to touch the ceiling. Exhale, bring the arms back down by your sides, and then we'll stay here to roll the shoulders forward, up and around. Nice big circles through the shoulders, loosening up your shoulders for another 3, 2, and 1. And then we reverse the direction of the circle, so you'll go back up and forwards and around. And don't worry if there are some clicks in your shoulders while you do this. We want to get all those, oh sorry, that was my phone making a little squeaking noise. And then we'll come back to center and grab a hold of our band. So you're going to grab the band and then be standing with your band. So again, I'm standing with my feet hip width parallel underneath me, but we've got the band on the top of the hands, so on the palms of the hands with your palms facing up, and then the fingers curling around the band to hold it in place. Elbows are bent to about 90, and those elbows are right next to my rib cage, so as close to your ribs as you can get it to be. If there's a little bit of space between the elbows and the ribs, it's okay, but we want to just kind of hold it in that position. Really focus on broadening your chest and collarbones before we go anywhere else. Softly bend your knees, draw your tummy muscles in to support your back. Take a breath in. And then exhale, we're going to start to stretch the band out to the sides of the room. So keeping the elbows next to the ribs as you stretch, and then bring it back in front of you. So you're rotating from the shoulders to stretch the band, taking your forearms into a V position, and then back in. Exhale, we stretch and bring it back in. We're going to go for 4 more. Stretch and bring it in. And almost resist the band as you come back in so that you're working in both directions. You're not just letting the band pull you back in again. 1 more time just like that. Stretching the band. And then take it out to about halfway. So just a little pull on the band. And we're going to do little pulses out from there, really warming those shoulders up. Pulse out for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then you can bring it back in. You can relax those arms. And we're going to step onto the band so that you've got plenty of loose band on the right-hand side of your body. So I've got my feet on the one end of the band and my right hand holding the other end of the band. You want to make sure the loose end of your band is coming out by your thumb of your right hand. And then the other hand can just rest on your hip so that it's out the way. Again, we're going to softly bend the knees, tuck the tailbone in slightly, and think of that broadness through your chest. I like to imagine that I've got 2 little parrots, one on each shoulder. So try to keep your shoulders in the same place so you don't disturb your imaginary parrots. That right arm that's holding the band is completely straight. So a straight elbow, a straight wrist, and just a little bit of tension into the band. You can always adjust it if you feel that you want it to be a little bit tighter or looser as we go. You're welcome to do that. So that straight arm, like a little lever, is going to come straight out in front of you to about shoulder height, and then come back down again. Feel the resistance of the band as you come back down. If you found on that first one it felt very easy, tighten your band a little bit because we've got 4 more. We're going to exhale, straight arm lifts without disturbing your imaginary parrot, and then back down. So you want to keep wrapping your shoulder blade down your back even though the arm is coming up and down. So you'll feel a little bit of your lats engaging, those muscles just underneath the rib cage. 2 more, lift and down. On the last one, oh sorry, I skipped that last one. On the last one, lift and hold it there. Okay, so that last one, I brought the arm out in front of my shoulder. I just want you to keep it there. Just feel the resistance of the band and breathe for 3, 2, and 1. Then we'll lower the arm back down. Rotate that same arm. Now the palm is going to be facing forward so that your arm goes out to the side. Again, about shoulder height, and then slowly back down without disturbing your imaginary parrot. And we lift on the exhale. Inhale, bring it back down. 3 more, lift and down. 2 more, lift and down. The last one is the special one where we lift and hold, and we keep it there for 3, 2, and 1. Bring the arm back down. We're going to draw little circles. So the body stays exactly as it is. Your arm goes forward first, like we did in the beginning, then out to the side of the room, and then slowly back down beside your body. So we're going to go forward, side, and down. Then let's reverse the direction. So you'll go out to the side first, then come forward and down. 1 more time, side, forward, and down. And you can stay holding the band. Relax that left arm, the one that was on your hip, and take it up and over to hold onto your temple just above your ear, and very gently draw your ear towards your shoulder for a little neck stretch. I'm just adding a slight pull with the arm. I'm not yanking on the head or the neck, just enough to help deepen that stretch. Hold it for another breath here. And then I'm going to turn chin in towards my collarbone. Take your hand more towards the back of your skull now and think about trying to draw your nose into your own armpit, which hopefully has some deodorant on it. And we hold it here for 2 breaths. So now sending the stretch a little bit more into the back of the neck, maybe even down into the shoulder. Then release the arm first and bring the head back through to the center, and we'll switch the band over to the other side. So now you want to get the looser end of the band by your left hand so that we can do it all on the other side. Try to get more or less the same amount of tension on the band on this arm as you had on the other side. So whatever you were doing with your right arm, do with your left. Unless, of course, you know you have a particular shoulder injury on one side and you want to be more gentle with one side. So we're going to keep elbow and wrist nice and straight, softly bend the knees, take a breath, and then hinge that arm straight out in front of you like you're punching the wall in front of you, and then slowly bring it down. Exhale as we punch the wall in front of us and down. 3 more. Remember to keep drawing your shoulder blades down so that your parrots don't move. 2 more. The last one coming up is the special one. We stay there and keep for 3, 2, and 1. Bring it down. Turn palm to face forward. Take the arm out to the side of the room. So now punching the wall to the side of you. And then bring the arm slowly back down. Exhale as we lift. Inhale down. 3 more. Lift. And down. Try to keep the wrist straight as well while we're doing it. Be careful of the wrists wanting to bend. On the last one, we just hold it. Keep your shoulder away from your ear. You stay here for 3, 2, and 1. And then we slowly bring the arm back down. And then we're going to do our circles where the arm goes forward, to the side, and down. I say circle, but it's more like a triangle. Really feel the angle of a straight line up, side, and then straight down. And then we reverse the direction. So you'll go to the side, then bring it forward, and down. 1 more time. Side, bring it forward, and down. And then we'll take our free hand up and over onto your temple and gently draw your ear towards your shoulder, getting it as close to the shoulder as you can. The opposite shoulder, though, is just relaxed. So the arm that's holding the band is just relaxed. Hold it for 1 more breath. Then rotate the chin towards the collarbone. Take your hand a little bit more to the back of your head so that you can gently draw your chin into your collarbone. Hold for 1 more breath, feeling that stretch down the back of the neck. Release the arm first and then bring your head back up to the center. Then we're going to step off our bands. Put your band down to one side of your mat, somewhere that you can grab it when we come to lie down. And then fetch your seat if you're using a seat. If you can sit comfortably on the mat, then you could just sit straight down onto the mat. Otherwise, you'll see I'm using a yoga block. You could use a couple of cushions just to elevate yourself to make it more comfortable for you to be in a seated position. And then in our seated position, I've got my feet fairly wide. They're almost out to the outer edges of the mat. My knees are bent, but my toes are lifted off of the floor, and I'm going to hook the hands onto the back of the thighs. Eyes looking forward. So I'm going to give you just a moment to get yourself into this shape, this position, choosing how high you want to elevate yourself up off of the floor. And then I'm using those hands on the back of the thighs to pull slightly to try and really lengthen my spine. And again, think about opening your chest and collarbones as though you are drawing your shoulder blades gently down your back and reaching the edges of your shoulders out to the sides of the room. That little bit of pull with the arms is also going to help you feel as though you can lift your chest slightly, almost lifting your heart towards the top corner of your room. We're going to breathe in there with that feeling of lift. And then we're going to pull the tummy muscles in, start to round your spine slightly backwards. So you'll hang a little bit off your arms and you'll end up almost in a little bit of a slouched position. And then from the slouch, we roll back up again, right on top of the sitting bones. Try to restack your spine in a smooth movement. Include your neck in that lengthening process and then add the pull of your arms to feel as though you are lifting your chest, drawing your shoulder blades down. Inhale. Let's go again. Exhale, round the spine, slouch slightly backwards. Your eye line will drop to look probably towards the mat as you do that. But when you lift yourself again, lift the eyes to look out in front of you. Lift the chest towards the ceiling. Inhale, and let's do it 1 more time. round the spine backwards, and this is an activation of your abdominals. I'm not just hanging into the arms. Use your tummy muscles. Then roll yourself back up on top of your sitting bones into a nice tall seated position. Now try to keep the length of your spine, but take your hands away from behind the back of your thighs and bring your arms out in front of you. Palms facing towards each other. I'm going to do a little angel, snow angel with those arms. So the arms are going to go up in line with your ears or as close to as possible. Turn the palms to face forward and draw a big circle with the arms. As your arms come forward, we're going to start to lean the spine forward over the legs as far as you can go. Maybe the fingertips could even gently touch down onto the mat. Try not to strain your neck or your shoulders here. Just feel that slight hinge forward from your hips for a bit of a stretch. If you are only feeling your legs and nothing else, maybe bend the knees slightly more. Take a breath, take the fingertips off the mat, restack your spine, so lower back, mid back, upper back, and head. And again, we go arms coming up. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed as you circle your arms around and then dive forward over your legs towards the mat. So your eye line will drop to look at the mat, but I'm not pushing the chin into the chest. Almost feel as though you're trying to dive the top of your head over the front edge of your mat. Breathe in. Roll back up. We're going to do it one more time. So restack your spine into a nice tall column. Think about reaching the crown of the head to the ceiling. The arms lift and circle. And then you dive your way forward and through your legs to your maximum point in the stretch. Take a breath. And then roll back up one last time into a tall seated position. And then we're going to come to lie down on our backs. So you can move your seat out to one side if you were sitting on something. And get yourself comfortably lying on your back with the band somewhere nearby so that we can grab it when we need it. You can use some support behind the back of your head, just enough that your head is resting on something comfortably, but I'm not pushing my head up too much. We were trying to get a neutral neck position so the eyes can look straight up towards the ceiling. Feet are going to be about hip width apart. Arms are in a low V position. So I've got my palms facing up and my arms a little bit wider than the mat, resting against the floor. And then once you're here, got yourself set up on your mat, we're going to lift the right foot and place the right ankle on top of your left knee. So you're making like a little number 4 shape with your legs. Flex slightly through your right foot, the foot that's in the air, and then keep your shoulders and your arms still. With your legs in this position, just gently sway your hips and your legs left and right. So I'm just rocking to one side of my pelvis and then rocking to the other side of the pelvis, keeping the legs in this little number 4. You're going to rock like 2 to 3 more times each way, up to you how fast you want to go. But every time you rock one way and the other, try to go a little further into the twist. Maybe even reaching the point that your foot and your knee almost touch the floor on either side. Then come back to the center and we're going to switch the legs. So right foot on the mat, left ankle on the right knee, flex slightly through the left ankle. So we're just activating that foot and ankle so that your knee has some support before we start to rock the hips from side to side. So opening that left hip joint up as you go for a little twist in your spine. You go as far as you feel comfortable on either side, but try to go a little further every time you rock. And breathe, of course, one more time each way in your own time. Whenever you're done, come back to center. I'm going to say keep your left foot on your right knee though. So keep that shape. Grab a hold of your band. You probably have to lift your head slightly off of the mat because we're going to take the band, flatten it out and try to place it over the ball of that left foot. So that when you come to lie down, you've got the band on the foot and you can lift the foot up towards the ceiling. So the band is kind of wrapped over the bottom of the left foot. Left leg is going to face the ceiling. Your right hand holds the right hand side of the band. Your left hand holds the left hand side of the band. And you're going to get a little bit of tension on the band and try and straighten out your knee as much as you can. Flex the ankle joint as well. So think about bringing the toes downwards towards your body. And then your arms and the band are just going to guide your leg in little circles. So your left leg can go down away from you slightly and then out towards the left-hand side of the room, and it's going to circle back up to your starting position. Go for 4 more circles in this direction. So just circling inside of your hip, keeping the leg as straight as possible. The opposite leg should be staying still, so your right knee isn't moving at all. And around. Let's do 2 more circles in this direction. 1 more time. Then we're going to reverse the direction of the circle. So take your left leg out towards the left-hand side of the room, then drop it down, bring it to the center line and back up to the ceiling. So we open, down and around. You can explore the range here. Maybe you feel you want to go for some slightly bigger circles to get a bit more of a stretch. You've got 2 more. And 1 more time in this direction. Then let's keep the band on the left foot as you bring your leg to face the ceiling again, and place the ends of the band together so that you can hold both of the sides of the band with both of your hands. It's just going to make it a little bit more of a firm grip so that you can really try to straighten the leg and use your arms and your band to draw the leg towards you for 5 little pulses. So stretching the back of the leg with pulses for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then staying here, you can kind of loosen the band slightly and lift your right foot up to put it into the band next to the left one. Try to get the right foot in the right spot in the band before taking your left foot out and putting your left foot on the floor, because we're going to do the circles now with your right leg. So get some tension on the band, try to straighten your right knee as much as you can and flex the ankle joint, and then we'll lower the leg down away from you and open it out to the right hand side of the room and around. Using your arms in the band to guide your leg, trying to keep your left leg and knee completely still. 3 more, breathing through the movement. And 2 more, down, out and lift. And 1 more time. And around. And then we reverse the circle, so we open out to the right hand side, down and around. If you want to go slightly wider with the circles to get a little bit more stretch along the inner thighs, you can. 3 more. If you notice any little clicking or popping sounds in your hip, it's perfectly normal, unless of course it's very painful, then I would go for smaller circles. 1 more time, but it's most likely just a little tendon popping. And then we bring it back to the center to finish with those little hamstring stretches. So the band comes together, both hands holding both edges of the band. And then you're going to do your little pulses, drawing your foot towards your nose for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we're done with the band. You can slide it off your foot, put the band down to one side. Have both feet down on your mat. Hip width and parallel with the feet, and take your arms back into your low V position like we had it before. So palms facing up, just enough support under the head for your neck to feel supported. And then find your neutral spine. So we're setting up with that little bit of space under the lower back, a feeling of openness through the chest as you take a breath in. On the exhale, we start to tilt the tailbone in underneath you to flatten the lower back against the mat, and then lift your tailbone and start to peel up into your bridge. So rolling up through your spine, coming up as high as you can go that you feel like you're still tucking your tailbone and not arching the spine. Grip with your feet into the mat, and that includes your toes, and just make sure that the weight isn't going into your neck. It should be in your shoulders and your feet. Breathe in at the top of your bridge, and exhale, melt your spine back down. So we're articulating the spine vertebra for vertebra into your mat till your pelvis is landed and you relax back to neutral. Breathe in. We're going to go again. As you exhale, you're going to roll up, articulate the spine vertebra for vertebra, reach your maximum height of your bridge, making sure your knees are still hip width apart. Squeeze your glutes, inhale, and then roll back down. Glutes being your bum cheeks. You want to squeeze the bum cheeks at the top. And as you land back on the mat, your legs can relax slightly. We're going to do it 1 more time. Inhale, prepare. tilts the pelvis, peel up, try to make it a straight line as you roll upwards through the spine, and then we're going to press pause at the top. Your arms are still in that very relaxed open V position, so your collarbones and chest are broad. We're going to keep the hips at the same height, and then this is almost an imaginary exercise. This is an exercise that you can feel happening, but someone looking at you shouldn't see it happening, in that I want you to pour all the weight into your right leg so that it feels like your left leg hardly has any weight at all, but without shifting your hips. And then switch. So all the weight pours over into the left leg till it feels like your right leg hardly has any weight at all. You can do one more time each way, switching the weight into one leg without letting the hips drop. So that's abdominals. Keep thinking about drawing your tummy muscles in to stabilize your pelvis. And then once you've done one more each side, you can spread the weight out equally through both of your feet again. Take a breath and exhale to roll slowly down through the spine, vertebra for vertebra. Land your pelvis back to your neutral position, so the center of the pelvis back onto the mat, little bit of space under your lower back. And then take your arms out a little bit higher so that they're now in line with your shoulders. So a T position, we would call this with your arms. So you're just one straight line from one hand to the other. Palms are still facing up towards the ceiling to help open up the shoulders and the chest. And then walk your feet and your knees together on the mat so that they're squeezing together. And really actively squeeze your inner thighs together. Don't just touch them, squeeze them. You might have to slide your feet a little closer towards your sitting bones for this next section because I want you to lift your heels off the mat. If you struggle to lift your heels, bring your feet a little closer towards your bum to get that lift. So I'm just on the toes and the balls of my feet. I'm still squeezing those inner thighs together actively, and then keeping the shoulder blades and the arms as your anchor, just kind of pressing the arms and the shoulder blades into the floor. We're going to go for a mini spine twist. So you'll tilt your pelvis towards the right-hand side of the room. Your left hip and the left ball of the foot are going to lift away from the mat because your legs are still squeezing together as you twist. Then exhale, come back through the center and rock over to the left-hand side. As you tilt your pelvis to the left, make sure your right shoulder blade is staying against the mat. And then exhale, center. Try to make your feet feel very light against the floor as if they weren't even touching anything. Inhale, twist. Exhale as you come back through center. Twisting the other way. Keep those knees stacked one on top of the other the whole time. Imagine you just had one giant leg instead of two separate legs. One more time each way. The giant leg tilts over to one side of the room and center, and then it tilts over to the other side of the room. Then you can come back to center. Land your heels back down against the mat so your feet can go flat into the mat again. And then sweep your arms around behind you to interlace your fingers and slide those hands in behind the back of your head like a little hammock to support your head. Your elbows will be slightly lifted off the floor, resting the head into the hands. In your neutral spine here, take a breath in, expand your ribs. As you exhale, start to curl your head and your shoulders up off the mat, so peeling yourself up over your ribs so that you're looking at your own legs. Your hands are still behind your head for support, and now while you're looking at your legs, open out your toes and then your heels to bring your feet and knees back to hip width apart. Take a breath in and then lengthen the spine back down into the mat. Head coming down, back to neutral, inhale. 2 more times. We're going to curl the head and the shoulders up over the rib cage. Try to flatten your abdominals. Your eyes are going to look towards your knees as you breathe in. And then lengthen slowly back down into the mat. 1 more time, breathing in. Exhale, curl the head and the shoulders up over the rib cage. So you're stretching your spine as you lift yourself up over. So your lower back will start to gently touch the mat. Take a breath. And then lengthen back down into your mat. Once your head is back down against the mat, find that you're back in your neutral position and take your awareness to your pelvis. So your hands are still behind your head like we had it before, but with a very stable pelvis. So use those abdominals, narrow the waist with your transverse abdominis, and then float your left foot up off the mat and bring your left leg into tabletop. We're going to keep that leg there as you breathe in again, and then exhale, curl the head and the shoulders back up. So coming into chest lift, keep the elbows fairly wide. Don't pull with your arms, just support your neck with your arms, and then keep your chest lift. As we hinge from that left hip, gently tap your left toe on the mat and then lift it back up. 2 more. Inhale, tap. Exhale, lift. 1 more, tap. And let's lift. Keep the left leg at tabletop, but start to rotate your chest towards the left-hand side so that you can look just past your lifted thigh and then bring your chest back to center. Still lifted, we do 2 more. So as you rotate to the left, I'm lifting the right shoulder blade up over the left shoulder blade, looking past my lifted thigh, then back to center. 1 more time. Exhale, rotate to the left. Inhale, come back through to the center. Place your foot back down, making sure your knees are parallel to each other. Then lengthen the spine back down, head resting back onto the mat, so that we can, of course, do it with the other leg. So stabilize the pelvis again. Float your right leg up into a tabletop position. So nice, clean 90-degree bend of the knee. Inhale, prepare. Then curl your head and your shoulders up over your rib cage into chest lift as we toe tap. Inhale, hinge. Exhale, lift that leg back up 2 more times. Tap lightly with the toe and lift 1 more time. Tap. Lift, keep the leg lifted. We're going to rotate to the right this time. Exhale as you rotate to look just past your lifted thigh. Come back to the center. Try to stay as high as you can in your lift. 2 more times. So I'm not collapsing onto that right arm. I'm staying lifted as I rotate. 1 more time. Bring it back to the center. Place your foot back on the mat. Keep your chest lifted though and just reach your arms forward towards the front edge of your mat. So that as we go back down, once your head is on the floor, you can stretch your arms all the way back behind you as far as your shoulders will allow. So that you get a nice stretch through your shoulders, stretch through your abdominals. Hold it there for a breath. And then we're going to roll over to lie on our sides. So you can pick a side, roll over. We're going to be lying on our bottom arm. You'll see in the video I'm using a towel between my arm and my ear, which you're welcome to do as well. Just makes it a little bit more comfortable for your neck. Bottom leg is going to be bent with a 90-degree bend to the knee, but I still have my foot of my bottom leg underneath my top leg. So the foot is still in line with the body. Your top leg is just a straight line in line with your body. Your hips are going to be neatly stacked, one on top of the other. And then we'll float the top leg up slightly higher than hip height. Then you can use your top hand on the mat in front of your chest for a little bit of balance. We're going to flex through that ankle of the top leg. The knee is very straight. The ankle is now flexed, and then just hinge from that hip to bring the leg forward. Then point your ankle as much as you can like a ballerina. Draw the leg back and try to pull it just slightly behind your body. Flex and exhale forward, point and inhale, hinge back. Trying to keep your upper body still. I'm only using that hand on the mat for balance. Don't push into the hand or cause any tension in your neck or your shoulders. And back. Let's go for 3 more. Exhale forward. Inhale, draw the leg back from the bum cheek. And last 2. And drawing that leg slightly back behind you. 1 more time, forward. Drawing the leg back. Oh, I lied. Still another one, forward. And back. Then bring the leg in line with your body again. And let's just keep it there. So your straight stripe running from your ankle all the way up to your ear. Flex the ankle as much as you can. And then we're going to do little pulses in that hip, pressing up towards the ceiling for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then you can lower that leg all the way down to the floor. Stay on the same side, but push up onto your elbow from here. So you can have both of the knees bent. As you can see, I've already done that. So I'm pressing up onto my elbow with the forearm kind of straight out in front of me. Elbow underneath the shoulder, and the knees are still bent, stacked on top of each other. Then just slide your knees slightly backwards so that your feet are pointing straight back behind you, and your knees and your elbow are kind of on the same imaginary stripe here, so kind of in the middle of the mat. Push through that bottom arm to get some space under your armpit, a little bit of lift from the rib cage, and then your top hand can rest on your top thigh, and we're going to turn the head to look down at your bottom elbow, so that when you push into that arm to lift your hips off the floor, you can check that you're keeping your shoulder above your elbow joint, and then lower gently back down. And we go again. So we're going to do 3 more little side lifts. So we're going to lift the hips off the floor, and then gently lower them back down, really pushing strongly through that bottom arm. Lift. Gently down. We've got one more. We're going to stay a little longer up. So you're going to lift, you're going to stay and hold for 3. And breathe for 2. And 1. And then lower the hips all the way down to the floor. And we do everything to the other side. So you can either take your legs to the other side of the mat or just roll over to face the other side of your room. We start by lying down on the bottom arm. Bottom leg is bent to about 90. Top leg is straight, but your bottom foot is underneath that top leg. So we call that your clam position that you have with the bottom leg there. Hips are stacked. Pull the tummy muscles in and use that top hand on the mat just for balance as we float the top leg up slightly higher than hip height. Flex through that top ankle as much as you can. Breathe in to prepare. Exhale, hinge from the hip, bring the leg forward like you want to see your own toes. Point the ankle, draw the leg back. Keep your tailbone slightly tucked when you try to pull the leg back behind your body. Flex the ankle forward. Remember the little tuck as you draw the leg back. Exhale, we go forward. Inhale to take it back. Good. Exhale, 4 more. Drawing it back, squeezing that glute. 3 more, relaxing the neck and shoulders. Last 2, exhale, forward and back. And 1 more time, exhale, bring the leg forward. Hinge the leg back. Then bring the leg just in line with your body. Flex through the ankle. Really feel as though you are reaching that heel away from you. And then little pulses up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then lower the leg back down towards the floor. That glute gets a little break. Let's push up to be on your elbow to do the side plank. So elbow under the shoulder, both knees bent. Scooch the knees back so that your knees are more or less in line with your elbow and your feet are pointing back behind you. Top hand on your top thigh, just out the way. Eyes looking down towards your bottom elbow. Before we even think about lifting the hips, push through the arm to feel the space under the armpit so that you're not collapsed into your bottom shoulder. Take a breath, and then you just add a little bit more pressure through the knees, and then the hips start to lift. Inhale, lower the hips. Exhale, lift. We got 3 more. Inhale, gently tap the mat. 2 more, and we lift. And lower 1 more time. Exhale, lift and hold. It's the special one. We stay for 3, 2, and 1, and then gently lower the hips all the way back to the floor and bring yourself around onto hands and knees. So we're coming into a 4-point kneeling position. Hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Spread the weight out through those 4 little corners, through the knees and the hands. Lengthen the spine into a neutral spine. And I've got my feet sort of pointed behind me, so flatten out the ankles and the shins against the mat. Breathe in. And then exhale, start to tuck your tailbone in and round your spine into your cat stretch. So your eyes will drop to look towards your thighs. You're going to actively pull in and up through your tummy muscles before then lengthening gently back out through the spine. Come to neutral, but then start to extend slightly. So gently arch your back by allowing the ribs to drop slightly and lifting the eyes and the chest to shine forward. And then tuck the tailbone back in, round back into your cat stretch. So just moving in as much as you can that it doesn't hurt, especially when it comes to the arch of the spine. Just move to a comfortable arch of your spine. And 1 more time. Tuck the tail in and round, push through the arms. Gently arch the spine to finish. Then come just to a neutral position to the spine. So there will be just a slight drop of the lower back, but your upper back is nice and firm. Eyes looking at the mat just above your hands. Keep your knees where they are and step your hands 1 step forward so that your hands are a little bit further forward than they were. So they were no longer under your shoulders anymore. And then lean your body forward to bring your shoulders back over your wrists. So I'm opening up the angle of my hips and bringing most of the weight over the arms so we're ready for push-ups. Have a little bit of space between each of your fingers so that you can spread the weight out through your hands. Keep that upper back nice and strong and the eyes looking at the mat just in front of your hands. So we're going to do a tricep push-up. So instead of letting the elbows bend out to the sides of the room like we would normally do, try to bend your elbows backwards towards your thighs as if you're trying to graze your elbows against your rib cage. Go as low as you can and then push back up. So we bend, trying to bring the chest down towards the mat in between the hands and then press back up. We're going to go for 6 more. Inhale, how low you go is up to you. Maybe it's just a tiny bend, or maybe you go all the way chest to the mat. 5 more. Inhale, bend. Exhale, press, keep the support of your tummy muscles. Make sure that your back is supported because it's just suspended in space at the moment. 3 more, bend. And press. 2 more, bend. And press 1 more time. Inhale, bend. And exhale, press all the way back up. And then slide those legs back behind you to come to lie down on your tummies. So we're going to lie on our stomach, hands underneath the forehead. So you'll be looking down at your own hands. And then bring your legs into a hip width parallel position again behind you. So a little bit of space between the legs with the tops of the knees and the tops of the feet resting against the mat. So there's no rotation in the hips. The legs are parallel and facing straight down to the floor. Then lift the tummy muscles for support as though you're trying to pull your belly button up off of the mat and start to straighten through your legs. You can rest your head all the way on your hands if you want to, or you can have it just slightly lifted looking at your hands. But we're going to straighten out those knees and float the legs just up off the floor. So I'm squeezing the bum cheek to lift the legs up here. The hips are still against the mat. It's just a little bit of a lift. Now keep those legs super straight, but squeeze the right bum cheek a little harder to try get your right leg to lift slightly higher than the left one. Then as that right one lowers, the left one lifts. But at no point do they touch the mat. It's just slightly higher and then back to a hover. And switch. We're going to go right and left and right and left. Keep your breath flowing and left. Going for 4 more each leg and then 3 more each leg. And then 2 more each leg, and your last one right and left. Finish with those legs just hovering off the mat 1 more time, and then lower the legs down towards the floor. Now we'll open the legs out slightly wider than your hips and turn the knees to face outwards towards the outer edges of your mat slightly. So a little bit of external rotation. And we're going to bend the elbows into a narrow goalpost position. So I'm bringing my forearms next to me on the mat, hands slightly higher than the shoulders, and your nose is now going to be almost touching the mat. So I'm looking straight down at the floor. Still lifting the tummy muscles in and up. Roll the shoulder blades back and down. So already almost lifting your shoulders slightly away from the mat. And then start to lengthen through the spine to the point that you feel that your head and chest start to peel away from the mat as you inhale into a little bit of upper back extension. And then exhale, come back down to look at the mat. So I'm peeling up. You can grip slightly with your arms into the floor like you're trying to pull yourself forward as you lift the chest. And then exhale, come down. The legs just stay relaxed on the mat the whole time. Inhale as you lift, shining the chest towards the top edge of your mat. And exhale back down. Last 2, like a little wave through the upper back as you inhale. And exhale, come down to look at your mat 1 more time. Make sure you're not creasing the back of your neck. Keep your neck lengthened as you roll up through the upper spine. And then exhale to come back down till your nose almost touches the mat. Everything stays in this position, but we're going to straighten the arms out into a T position again. So straightening the arms out to the sides of the shoulders with your palms facing down. So you're just a straight line from one hand to the other. Still think about trying to lift your shoulders slightly away from your mat before we go anywhere else. Your nose is going to float just off the floor, so your neck muscles are engaged slightly, and then you're going to float both of the arms just up off the floor. So the arms lift and the arms lower back down. So working mostly the shoulder joint now. Inhale to float the arms up. Exhale back down. 4 more. Inhale and down. 3 more. Float the arms up. Keep drawing your tummy muscles in. Last 2. And the last one. Then I want you to float the arms just up off the floor and keep them there. So your arms are floating. Start to reach through your legs and try to get your legs to float too. So you're like a little starfish just hovering off of the floor. And we hold it there for 3, 2, and 1. You can lower everything down towards the floor. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders so that you can push yourself up. Keep your knees a little wider than your hips and then push your hips backwards towards your feet into your rest position. Either with your arms stretched out in front of you or fold the forearms in underneath your forehead. Just make sure that wherever your head is, it's comfortable because this is your rest position. You should feel like you can rest here. Hold it for 2 breaths. And then after that last breath in, we're going to come back up onto hands and knees. We're going to curl up. And then you're going to step one of your feet. Let's say step your left foot forward first, so that we're in a little lunge position. So I've got my left foot in front of me on my right knee like I'm about to propose. And we're going to tuck the back toes in. So the right toes are tucked. Then place your hands against your front thigh. Or if you feel that you need even more support, if you have something close by like a bed or a chair that you can have your hand on, you could use that to help you, because we're going to push through the arms, push through the legs, press up to stand. Step the feet together. We're going to go down with the opposite leg. So you'll now have to take your left leg behind you. So we had the left leg in front previously, now the left leg is behind. Again, lean with your hands into your front thigh. Lower yourself down into a little lunge. We press up now on this side. So use the hands, use the legs, press up. Step the feet together. We're going to do one more each leg. So it's going to be the right leg going back, so that you're using the front left leg to lower yourself down. Then push up with the left leg in front. Step the left leg back. One more time we go down now with the right leg in front. Press up with the right leg. So just a little practice of getting up and down from the floor using the hands. Settle the feet in a hip width position. Start in a standing. And then we're going to inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Stretch the fingertips to the ceiling. Exhale, bring the arms back by your side. Curl your head forward. Softly bend your knees. And finish with a roll down, rounding your spine forward and down. Keep the knees slightly bent. Take a breath. Again, think of your head being heavy, and then you've got to draw yourself up. Use your tummy muscles as you uncurl your spine until your head lifts. And then we're all done with today's session. Well done. Thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed it.